Hello there, Matt here. I'm not sure what is possessing me, inspiring me, I think possessing is probably a better word for it, to make this video. The challenge or the point of this video in question is this, K-driven. I've been working on this for a while now. Ride 1 million meters, I believe that is, on a K-drive. It's sort of a little mini achievement. It says challenge, but you get an achievement for it as well if you're on Steam or if you're on consoles here in Warframe. And in case you've never played Warframe, what a K-drive is this. It's essentially a hoverboard. You float around on it, you can jump, you can do tricks, and literally you just do this for hours. I think it equates out to around 16 hours in total. Because it took around, from my very bad math, very rough math, it took about 1 minute to get 1,000 meters done. So that, I think, became around, with my, again, very bad, very simple maths, I think it became around 16 hours or so. Now, to be fair, I had around 400,000 from other activities I had done. So I was less than halfway when I started, obviously, but just from not focusing on the achievement, I mean. And something possessed me to continue pushing on and getting to the 1 million, so hopefully we're going to get that here today together, and I'll attempt to be entertaining for about the, hopefully, 30 minutes. Hopefully it won't take us longer than about 30 minutes of just driving around. So I might as well get started, I guess. So that's literally it, but despite this being, it's just going to be me, you have been warned, it's just going to be me gliding around for around 30 minutes trying to get an achievement. What I more want to talk about, despite this being a Warframe video, I wanted to talk about achievements in general. Now, while this achievement was insanely tedious, and I would highly recommend Digital Extremes to cut this achievement in half, 500,000 would be a lot more reasonable. Because in case you've, again, never played Warframe, this is not what most people do. People do not really use the K-drive anymore. Not only can you open up a map here, and you can teleport to these little people icons. So I can literally just hit travel to. Let's just do it so you can see what I'm talking about. In case you have never played Warframe. Bam! Now I'm in a completely different spot. You don't have to be on a K-drive to do that. You can just teleport around. Not only does that exist, not only can I do... Hey guys, could you not? I'm trying to make a point here, please. Not only can you teleport around most of the map like this, you can also do bullet jumps like this. You can sprint, obviously, as you can see. You can double jump, and you can roll. This means that if you teleport to, let's say we go here, and I want to get to this this place here, just randomly put a marker down, I can just bullet jump, jump, whoop, roll, slide, jump, roll. You are so mobile in Warframe, it's absolutely insane, right? Now, you might be saying, oh, but it's a bit faster, Matt, to use your K-drive for that. That's why it was made. It was so you can travel long distances. But as I said, the teleporters exist to get you close enough. Number two is that when you're on the K-drive, I can't shoot now. The best thing I can do is swap to a secondary weapon, and now I can awkwardly, but still, like, defend myself a bit. This is my sidearm. You can't use your primary on the K-drive. Not only that, they added this, the Archwing launcher, or Archwing, whichever you prefer, which does this. Now I'm wearing wings. I can just fly up. I can teleport around. I can dash. This is what everyone uses to travel around. No one gets the K-driven achievement organically. Now you might be saying, which brings me to my point of achievements overall, no one gets any achievement organically, Matt, other than the progress ones, like beat the game, or even beat the game on hard mode or something like that. That's the only ones people get organically. And while I kind of agree, for example, in Resident Evil 2, I feel most, remake, I feel most people got the hats off achievement of shooting Mr. X's head off. That's just a fun little achievement that most people will just get normally. I find that most achievements are at least fun excuses to either do little challenge runs or mini challenges, or look at the game in a different way. Speaking of Resident Evil, there is an achievement for the original and I believe Village as well, but the original game, to beat the entire game with just a knife, which made me think, well, that's not well, that has to be possible because it's an achievement. And I started thinking about like, how would you do that? Well, you could play on the easiest difficulty, and I thought of all these rules and restrictions and ideas of like, how would you do that and whatever. And that's what cool achievements, in my opinion, good achievements, because I do like achievements. I genuinely believe not just achievements, but any idea, any concept in terms of designing a game is good, or is not inherently good or bad. It's how you use it. Loot boxes. A lot of people hate loot boxes. They are scummy and scammy, and they just want to steal your money. A lot of people hate them, absolutely despise them. I like loot boxes, but I don't like monetized loot boxes. I think all of us have played some game like Diablo 2 or Torchlight or anything, World of Warcraft, and you've killed a boss and loot have popped out, or in a window, obviously. Okay. Back on it. Or popped out of a boss, and we've gotten excited. We've gotten that adrenaline, that like euphoric rush of like, oh, I won. Oh, that's the thing I want. Like whether it's like something as simple as White Mage Chapeau, or it's your class set in World of Warcraft, or it's a legendary item in Diablo, whatever it might be. We've all had that feeling, I think. And you might be saying, well, yeah, Matt, Diablo doesn't have loot boxes. What the hell are you talking about? It does, actually. It has living loot boxes. They're bosses. The bosses are essentially loot boxes or loot piñatas that you hunt around, you destroy, and hopefully have fun destroying. Then loot pops out, and you get a randomized selection that hopefully is something you can use. That's essentially what loot boxes are. It just started being scummy when they got monetized. Again, this is a bit of a tangent, but we're gonna jump back to achievements. Some people absolutely hate achievements. I love achievements, but that doesn't mean they're all good. And I think the K-driven is incredibly grindy, obviously. I don't think it's one of the most atrocious achievements I've ever done, but it's one of those cases where I look at it and I go, did Digital Extremes seriously expect people to get this? Or was it just a idea to waste time for the player? And that's usually what you have to look out for. It is when the achievements become more annoying, frustrating, or tedious than actually fun or challenging. Now you might be saying, well, Matt, why are you even doing this then? If use your logical brain, be objective, just say it's a bad achievement, I'm not going to get it. And whether it's OCD, competitiveness, stubbornness, when I see a challenge that I can overcome, I want to do it. Maybe it's because I have trouble overcoming challenges in real life. I actually read about that. That's a psychological phenomenon. But when I see an achievement or a challenge that I can overcome, I want to do it. And K-driven, you can argue, isn't even really a challenge, but it is. It's literally called a challenge in this game. It's called an achievement on Steam, of course, but it's called a challenge. It is Digital Extremes going, can you do this? You're bad enough, dude? And it's like, well, yeah, I can, but it's going to take me 16 hours. And something in me just goes, again, it's probably the competitiveness or stubbornness of going, well, okay, fine. They put a challenge for me. I can do this. I'm going to do it. But ideally, you should be having fun doing it. As I said, the knife-only run in Resident Evil Village is actually really fun. You can do it after you beat the game and you get the special knife. And in general, there are just a ton of achievements that are super fun. In case you don't know about retro achievements, I should also give them a shout out. You can play old games like Mario, Metroid, Pokemon, Ratchet & Clank, ton of games. You can just go on retro achievements, and on emulators you can just have those games earn achievements, which gives you a great excuse to go back and play a game or play it in a different way, experiment, and breathe new life into games in a way that you maybe didn't even think about before. Aside from maybe challenge runs, I feel that's the closest thing to personal achievements that people think of themselves. Like beat the old Final Fantasy with just a white mage. That's a challenge run. Beat the original Legend of Zelda without the sword, right? And see how far you can get. I really love the Baglogs. That's a great channel, where he does all these crazy challenge runs, right? And just says, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And I feel it's very popular in general on YouTube to do challenge runs. that's essentially what good achievements are, in my opinion. And while I think K-driven that we're trying to get here isn't a good one, it's very grindy, I think it's more mediocre and tedious. Maybe it's bad because it's tedious, right? Instead of just boring or nothing. It's kind of bad, it's erring on the side of bad. There are much worse, and the worst ones I can personally think of are multiplayer only or RNG based, because if they're multiplayer only, that sort of makes sense in multiplayer only games, like World of Warcraft. I'm just going to use that again as a reference point. That's an MMO, it makes sense you would have achievements focused on interacting with other players in some form or another. Even as annoying as it is, it makes sense. RNG is a lot worse. Like, let's say I make a dice rolling game and I put in an achievement that's roll 3 6s in a row, and you roll 1 dice at a time. Obviously, if you miss one in a row, the achievement resets. There is actually a comparable achievement to that in Buckshot Roulette, which is use every single item, different item, in one turn. I have still not gotten that because it is pure RNG. You just need to get lucky and get all the items. There is no way for you to buy the different items, choose the different items. You don't get to choose between 3 choices and collect everything in one. It is such an annoying achievement. It is so incredibly frustrating. And it's, really bad. Now, as I said, multiplayer is also, but it makes sense in multiplayer-only games. However, in, for example, the Tomb Raider reboot, which I got all the single-player achievements in, I was like, oh, what am I missing? Why am I missing like 10 achievements? And it was like, level up in multiplayer, kill another player in multiplayer. No one's playing the Tomb Raider reboot multiplayer. Are you kidding me? Like, of course they're not. And that's another one that most achievement hunters agree is not good. Not necessarily Tomb Raider, but I mean multiplayer-only achievements in single-player, in games with single-player campaigns. You should not have multiplayer achievements and that when the community is going to die after 2 weeks. It doesn't make any sense. And I actually think that multiplayer achievements in, obviously, multiplayer-only games, and even in single-player games, can be fun, but they don't make any sense. They are inherently just flawed because you can't get them unless you do bots, of course, and you allow people to farm experience with bots. That can work. But even then, when I defend it with multiplayer-only achievements, Dead by Daylight, for instance, has some of the most annoying achievements that are like survive on your own. This might be a true challenge or escape via the hatch or something like that. That's not only an RNG nightmare, it is counterintuitive to you trying to help your survivor team. If you are hunting for that achievement, you actively want your team to fail, aside from you, so you might as well just sit and hide in a closet and hope for the hatch to open while all your friends, essentially the survivors, are just hanging on hooks. That's terrible. That makes for such a terrible gameplay experience. So even in multiplayer only games, if I use that that's really bad. Oh dear. Even if I use that excuse, it still doesn't work because you can still do them so poorly. And it's incredibly frustrating, obviously, in cooperative ones where you have to work together, and one of them is maybe be the only one who survives. Could you imagine that in World of Warcraft? Be the only one who survives a raid or something like that. It's like, okay guys, can you just take a dive for me so I can get my achievement? Makes no sense, right? And despite all this, because I have been harping a lot on achievements here, you might, again, a lot of you are probably just shaking your heads. You might just be like, Matt, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? And it's because I actually find it satisfying to overcome these challenges. Because while it's a bit weird with the retro achievements because it's fans making them for free and some of them can be a bit too hardcore, as in like beat Mario in under 10 minutes or something like that, which is not something I will probably ever achieve. I can cut them some slack because they are working for free. They're solo. They're just doing it out of the love, out of their love of the game. And even Sony, when they added achievements to PlayStation 2 games, said that that was a nightmare, and that was the biggest reason why they didn't want to do any more ports, essentially, because it was such a nightmare. But despite all that, I love the concept of achievements, as I said, I don't believe there's any bad design concepts. It's how you apply them. And this one that I'm still obviously working on is such a good example of one where they didn't think it through. They just said, oh, that's one that players are going to get over the course of many days, many months, years, whatever. But as I demonstrated to you, Archwing's bullet jumping teleporting, there is actually no reason to use your K-Drive, aside from the K-Drive races, which guess what? There's 24 of them. I did all of them and got the achievement for that. That was actually a fun achievement. Digital Extremes did good on that. But then I'm sitting here like, oh, I guess I just have to drift around on a K-Drive for 16 hours. Yeah, how great was that? And it brings me to another point, which is not necessarily relevant to the retro achievements, because that's usually made by one person, or even indie games, right? Stardew Valley has a lot of ones. And I actually respect Concerned Ape a lot, because he posted that he had gotten every single achievement in Stardew Valley, his own game. That's great. How many people at Digital Extreme do you think has all the achievements in Warframe? How many people working on Resident Evil do you think has all the achievements? Working on Halo has all the achievements. Borderlands, whatever game you want to talk about. Dark Souls. Do you think Miyazaki, who has gone on record to say he's bad at Dark Souls, has every single achievement in Dark Souls? No? How does he know they're bad? Why or good, for that matter. Why are they there if he himself did not get them? Because how does he know that they're quality, that they're good use of time? And I suppose we should go to the birth, I'm really jumping around here, huh, of achievements. Where did they kind of start? Because self-imposed challenges has existed for a while, but who more or less co-opted them or started using them in the mainstream? Xbox 360 had Xbox Live achievements, which were, I think it was 200 points for smaller games, and then it was 1,000, and I think they stuck to that to this day. For just being essentially random points that you get, that people are still doing to this day. And I remember Rooster Teeth, and Sight, Achievement Hunter, obviously, because it was a subsidiary, I guess it's fair to say, of Rooster Teeth, became really big with that, because people loved doing these little challenges. I think there is a lot of love and passion for hunting achievements, and I even saw a article about, I think it was Fallout 4 of all things, where the person got it for PlayStation 5, or the updated version, whatever, upscaled, upgrade, and they were like, I kind of want to play it again, but I don't really have a reason to. I'm looking for an excuse. And they realized that, oh, achievements. I can just hunt achievements. That's fantastic. And that's what they're supposed to be. Now, did that person get... Okay, that was weird. Did that person get 100% of the achievement? Probably not. But is that necessary? No. Achievements are just supposed to be these fun little challenge runs. Now, I mentioned the backlogs. Do I expect achievements to have insanely specific, ridiculous requirements that require a dedicated let's play or playthrough in order to justify and complete? No. Another one I remember getting was the Mass Effect 1 achievements. They actually fixed those in the Legendary Edition. But in the original release, you had to get every single crew member and complete the majority of the game with each of them. Like replay and replay and replay. And while you might like Mass Effect enough to do that, guess what? That achievement was also messed up, because Liara, of all people, you acquired her on a separate main planet. If you didn't get her early enough, if you did too many side quests, you couldn't get that achievement for that run. That's terrible game design. That is absolutely atrocious. And again, Mass Effect was relatively early, I think, in Xbox 360. But again, it just goes to show this carelessness. Another one that I have actually gotten, I guess I'm humble bragging, but please don't do as I have done. The flags in Assassin's Creed 1. Good lord. There were like 400... Was it 450 or was it 900 flags? Absolutely insane. Little incidental glowy flags that you could barely see were not on a dedicated list, was not marked on the map in any way. Not even when you collected them. They weren't marked off in any way so you could cross-reference with a map guide of which ones you had gotten. People had to make their own websites specifically for that. I hope it's still up in case you are crazy enough to try that achievement. People had to make up their own interactive map simply because Ubisoft was incompetent. Now, I actually read the story of why that happened, because an executive's son came by, playtested Assassin's Creed 1, said, this is boring, there's nothing to do in the open world, unlike something like GTA, right, where you could play cops and robbers, do whatever you want. And the development team panicked and put in the 450 flags. Yeah, what a great solution. And obviously not only putting in the flags, but putting in an achievement dedicated for marking off that you got it. Absolutely terrible. And I mentioned that I love achievements, despite all the whining I'm doing about bad ones, but those are the ones that stick in my mind, and it's one of the ones, just like completing a game, achievements or no, being able to say, I did 100% in Breath of the Wild or whatever. That is satisfying. Even if the journey can be frustrating, you can look back on it and feel good about yourself, or just have those memories. And it's why I like to call achievements monuments, but I suppose badges is more accurate, but monuments to wasted time. But let's just say badges of dishonor, that's pretty good too. But I would rather have a badge that I can look back on, because it makes me genuinely happy, which brings me to why I'm still doing this. Even though my brain is saying like, this is stupid, why did we drive around for 16 hours on a freaking hoverboard? Because I can look back on that and go, wow, that was terrible. Oh my god, I remember doing that. Oh god, yeah, that was the worst. Or being like as a badge of genuine honor when you do something that's actually really tough. Now, obviously, as I said, their challenge runs are popular on YouTube. That's sort of your proof. Instead of an achievement, if you play Pokemon with just Pikachu, like beat entirely Pokemon with Pikachu, and you record it, that's your badge of honor. That's your achievement. You can just point to that video and it's like, yeah, I did that. Same thing with speedrunning. People just recorded that and uploaded it to speedrunning times on a leaderboard. It's not that much different than trying to get a high score in an arcade, but the massive difference, much like when they moved away from arcade games to home console games that you could finish, right? When you finished Super Metroid for the first time. If you haven't, you should. It's still a good game to this day. But when you finish that, you got this sense of accomplishment, and you could look back on your journey and your memories, and that's what's so strong about achievements to me. It is these memories that you can look back on, kind of like photos, screenshots, videos, and be reminded of the journey you took, the adventures you've had. Even though some of them might be terrible, they are memories. They are memorable. Even something as simple and frustrating, and Digital Extremes, please don't ever do this again. Please make better achievements in the future, which they have, honestly. Even though it's frustrating, I'll probably remember this. I mean, for frack's sake, I'm recording a video right now and talking to you about just random achievements and achievements in general, because I felt like this achievement, as annoying, tedious, grindy, badly designed, not thought through it is, is memorable to me. I remember 100%ing on retro achievements, Pokemon Fire Red, where you obviously can't get all 151 or whatever, but you could get 137, I believe it was. I got all the achievements Fire Red. I remember that playthrough I did pretty vividly. Ow. Because while some of it was tedious, while some of it was frustrating, a lot of them were really interesting, fun, new ways of experiencing a game that I had a lot of memories and essentially already beaten. And I'm repeating myself a lot because, trust me, driving around like this for extended periods of time really numbs the mind. So forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But I genuinely mean it when I say that I do like achievements. There are some I hate, of course, and I wish that developers would be more responsible with the power they wield for us poor completionists or OCD or stubborn people or competitive people. Because the funny thing is, Don't Starve doesn't have any achievements on PC. Great game, by the way. Don't Starve. Good game. But it does on Xbox and PlayStation because they were mandatory. Achievements didn't used to be mandatory on PlayStation, but they was from the start on 360, I believe. Like every big game needed 1,000 gamer score. So when Clay was porting Don't Starve to consoles, they went, wait, we have to make achievements, but we hate achievements. We don't want to put achievements in, which I fully respect, by the way. Undertale also doesn't have achievements not on console it does, but not on PC, which I completely respect. It's up to the developer, in my opinion, rather than being a corporate mandate. It should be up to the developer because they want to put in specific things. They have specific visions, specific challenges in mind for the player that they want to see them overcome. I respect that. But Clay with Don't Starve put in hey, we got it. Clay put in, wow, I'm still not done talking. I am just a chatterbox today. Clay put in an achievement that was called the Pointless Machine or something like that, where you had to build a pointless machine, crank it once, that got you one achievement, and then crank it 10,000 or 1,000 times, and then you got the other achievement. I think that was more or less all Don't Starve achievements. But, wow, I really have kept you trapped here long. Well, I guess you could have just turned off the video. And I suppose to finish things off before I go on a tangent and can't find an endpoint, I love achievements, and I highly recommend you actually try 100%ing a game. It doesn't have to be a game you love. It doesn't have to be a particularly long game. I recommend a medium one, 10 to 20 hours. Try completing it, because either you will find a new appreciation for that game and the challenges, and you'll see it in a new light, or you'll go, thank God I never have to do this again. I can just play games normally, and I don't have to be like an obsessive, insane person called Matt that decided to record a K-driven achievement in Warframe. Yeah, if you made it through my ramble, thank you so much for listening. And I'm not gonna ask for a like for this video. That is absolutely insane. You should not be liking a video like this. It was literally me driving around in Warframe on a K-drive, whining about achievements, and also saying that I love achievements, and essentially being a slight sociopath. Anyway, if you made it through all my rambles, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have had a great day, and if you need to, don't forget to take some deep breaths and maybe drink some water. Yeah, I should end it there. Thank you so much. Bye.